our process for creating sales scripts starts with identifying what is the product that we're selling and organizing and brainstorming some key details around that product. And as I've already mentioned, the product we're talking about here is life insurance. And one of the first steps that I try to go through when sort of brainstorming what is it that you sell is let's try to identify the features of the product that you sell. And of course, when I mention features, that might sound like it makes more sense with a physical product and doesn't really make sense when we're talking about a service or an intangible product. But stop to think about what you sell as being like a box. And whether it's a physical product or a service, picture providing that box to your customers and try to think about what's in the box. What are all the different things that your customer will get? And so with life insurance, some of the things that I discussed with this insurance sales rep was that it's basically a whole life insurance policy. The customer will get income protection, funeral and final expense coverage, mortgage protection, debt protection, children's education protection, health services discount, card cash value, AD&D. And once you brainstorm the features of the product, then I recommend you go one step further to think about how is what I sell different from the competition, or how is what I sell different from who I'm competing with. And you might be competing with the status quo and the option to do nothing. So think about who you compete with and then try to think about how are you different from that option. And so some things that I came up with this rep was that we're the largest union benefits company in America and handle permanent benefits for over 30,000 different unions and associations. We offer layoff strike waivers that pay premiums if you are ever laid off or go on strike. And we're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. So of course, those differentiation points are specific to the agent that I worked with, and yours will likely be different, but maybe you can get some ideas from there. The next step in the process is to think about who are we selling this product to, or who are we communicating with when we use this sales script. And so try to think about the target audience for this sales script. And for this script, we were very broad and we just created a script for individuals, or you could think of creating a script for people. So this is kind of a script that can be used for anybody, but certainly when you're selling insurance, you could create a script that's more focused on retirees or young professionals, or maybe a particular audience, homeowners. But this is going to be a fairly broad audience of just individuals. And then the next step is to think about when we sell our product to that particular audience, what is the value that we can deliver? And our goal here is to think of a few improvements that we can deliver or create for that target audience. And this can actually be one of the more difficult steps in this process that we go through. And what we can do is we can bring back the features that we brainstormed on the previous step, maybe even bring back some of the differentiation points of how we're different. And what we can do is think about when the target audience uses those features or benefits from that differentiation, what are some improvements that they can realize or that we can create? And here's a little tool that you can use to help get ideas, is that I think there's just a few common ways that just about every product or service helps. And those are that what we typically sell can either help to make something work better, help to make something easier, help to decrease the amount of time it takes to do something, help to increase revenue or income for the target audience, help to decrease their costs or expenses, help to improve the product quality for the product that they sell or they manufacture, help to decrease the risk of something bad happening, help to improve visibility or access to information. So those are just very general, common areas where improvements can be made. And what we can do is we can look at the different features of our product or our differentiation and go through that list and say, well, does this feature help to make something work better or help to decrease the amount of time it takes to do something? And so what we can do is we can go through each feature one by one. And so some of the improvements I came up with this particular agent was that our life insurance can help individuals to have financial security if there's ever an illness, disability, or death. And the policy can help to protect the family's assets and the family's financial assets. This insurance policy can help to prevent any disruptions in long-term goals, such as an unplanned event preventing your children from going to college, for example. Having a policy like this can help to decrease the possibility of financial instability in the future. And this policy can help individuals that we sell to have the assurance that they've made prudent financial decisions. So just a few benefits there, and then we can progress to the next step to think about, well, if we help in those ways, what are some problems or pain points we can make go away for the target audience? And our goal here is to just think of and brainstorm a few pain points or a few challenges or concerns that we can help alleviate and make go away for the target audience. And if I asked you what challenges or pain points your product can make go away, you probably could throw a couple pain points at me. But here's a trick, is that we can actually bring back the improvements that we came up with on the last step, because typically for each improvement, there's an opposite pain point. So what we can do is we can use that list to think of some pain points, and we actually want to think of pain points keeping in mind the target audience that we're creating the sales script for. And what we can do is we can go through each improvement one at a time and try to think about, well, what is the opposite of that improvement? Or what problem goes away when we create that improvement? Or what problem starts to happen if we are providing that improvement and we take it away? And we can go through and just look at each improvement one by one and use that to come up with basically an opposite list of pain points that we can include in our sales script, such as an illness, accident, or death can cause a significant financial disruption to a family or to an individual. An unplanned disruption can threaten a family's asset. A financial disruption can impact future goals and plans. For example, an unplanned financial disruption could get in the way of your children going to college if that's a very important long-term goal for you. And there's always a possibility of financial disruptions, instability from a potential illness, an accident, or an unplanned death. And that it can be easy to not make the correct coverage decisions and plans, or it can be difficult to make sure that you're making the proper plans to have the right coverage in place. And the next step in the process is to think about questions to ask. I personally believe the best salesperson is the one that asks the best questions, and you might agree with that 100%, but it can be difficult to know what questions to ask in the exact right moment when talking with prospects. Well, here's a trick, is that I recommend you create a list of pain questions, which are questions that try to identify, does the prospect have the pain points or the concerns that you can make go away? And if you have a good set of pain questions, you just about always have something to ask the prospect. And here's a trick, is that we can bring back all of those pain points that we just came up with and use those to create a list of correlated pain questions. And we want to keep in mind that we're creating questions for our target audience of individuals. And what we can do is we can look at each pain point and think to ourselves, what question could we ask to see if the prospect has that challenge or concern? And for each pain point that the product fixes, there's a related question that could be asked. So we can just go through this one at a time and come up with some questions. How could an illness, accident, or death impact your family financially? How do you feel about your current level of protection and coverage for unplanned events like an illness, accident, or death? How important is it to make sure that future goals and plans are not disrupted in any way? For example, anything getting in the way of your children going to college. How concerned are you about an illness, accident, or death impacting the financial well-being for your family? How confident are you that you've made all of the proper decisions and plans to make sure that your family is covered and protected from the impacts from an illness, accident, or death? So we have a good list of pain questions there. I actually recommend you create two different lists of questions. You create pain questions, but you also create a secondary set of questions that I refer to as current state questions. These are questions that try to figure out what is the prospect doing in the area where you have something to offer. So if you sold cars, you should ask current state questions of, do you have a car today? What year is it? Do you own it? Do you lease it? How much money do you owe on it? How is it running? How many family members do you have? So the current state questions will be unique for each product and service being sold. So I can't tell you exactly what current state questions that you should ask, but for this particular sales script, we can create a set of current state questions. And what I can do is provide you a list of areas that you might want to think about asking about. For example, you certainly want to ask prospects if they currently have or have currently bought what you sell, maybe who they purchased from, maybe any details around current systems or processes, people in the organization, any current contracts and expiration dates, probably some size details related to what you sell, current performance stats in the area where you have something to offer, maybe the last time they looked at purchasing what you sell. So using that guideline, we can think of some questions like, do you currently have life insurance? What type of policy do you have? Who are you currently purchasing from? Who is your policy with? Are both you and your spouse contributing to household finances? If so, what would be the impact if one of you stopped contributing? Do you have any children? Are there any future goals or plans for your family that you would want to make sure that don't get sidetracked? such as retirement, children going to college, paying off your home, investments, vacations, etc. How much money do you have set aside to take care of your children's education? What 5 things would you most want taken care of if something happened to you? Do you own or rent your home? How will your ability to make mortgage payments be impacted if there's a disability, illness, or death in your family? What do you owe on your mortgage? Do you currently have any insurance coverage that protects your mortgage if there's a disability, illness, or death in your family? How do you feel about having enough financial reserves if there's an unexpected illness or death? Do you have funds set aside to take care of funeral expenses? When was the last time you considered other options in this area? How have you been doing health-wise? Do you take any prescriptions? Do you use any form of tobacco or marijuana? Any DUIs or felonies? Have you been hospitalized in the last 5 years? So that process that we just went through there, each of those steps provides us with a set of bullet points, and each grouping of bullet points creates what we would refer to as building blocks. And once you have these building blocks, it's real easy to mix and match those to create a variety of different scripts. You can put those building blocks together to have a cold call script. You can use those same building blocks to have an appointment script when you meet with a prospect. You can use those same building blocks for an email campaign. You can use those same building blocks for voicemail messages. Now, as you can see, once you have those building blocks, you can create a lot of different documents. And I'm not going to go through and show you all of the different documents and combinations that you can mix and match those building blocks together in this video, because I've already done that in another video. If you want to see all of the different scripts that you can create with those different blocks, I'd recommend you go to this playlist on YouTube, The Smart Sales System, and go to this video, Writing Sales Scripts. What we do in that video is we go through all of the different documents that you can create with those different building blocks. The hard part is actually creating the individual bullet points, and those are what I showed you in this video. Once you have the individual bullet points and can create the blocks, it's really easy to create those documents, and I will show you how to do that in this other video. And it's actually when I realized that you can mix and match all those building blocks to create a lot of different documents, what led me to create Sales Scripter in the first place. And that's actually how Sales Scripter works, is that once you have all those bullet points and all those answers in the software already has all of those different documents. All of those documents mix and match your building blocks. And in Sales Scripter, as you can see, it's already preloaded with a whole folder for insurance-related sales scripts. And here is actually that sales script that I just went through with you for life insurance. All of those bullet points that I just showed you are already loaded up in the software. So if you don't want to watch the other video and manually all of those different documents, you can actually do all that much quicker in Sales Scripter. You can just go in, grab the sales script that I just showed you, and have a full library of documents filled in with all of those different answers. So hopefully that gives you some ideas of how to create your sales script or how to create your life insurance sales script. If you want more information or have any questions, the best place to go is salesscripter.com. If you want more tips, there are plenty of videos with tips. There are also ebooks you can download for free on our website. If you have questions on the product of Sales Scripter, this is the best place to go. There are plenty of demo videos that show you all of the different features of the software. If you want to contact us, this is the best place to go. You can get our phone number, email address. There's a chat window. If you sell an insurance-related product and you want to work with us to create your sales script and possibly do that in exchange, go to our website and contact us, and we would be very interested in talking to you about that. Thanks for being here. Hope this was helpful, and we will see you on the next video. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.